Hello, welcome pen friends. My name is Chris if you're new here, and today I'd like to talk about paper, specifically paper that I've tried with fountain pens and paper that I'm going to try, and kind of my journey so far. I've been almost 8 years back into using fountain pens again, and so I've been able to try a lot of different papers, but I've also discovered that of all of the different considerations for writing with fountain pens, paper is my weakest area. It's the area that gives me the most difficulty, like being able to make any kind of generalizations, which is never really a great idea in this hobby because there's so many variables when we sit down to write. You know, we've got our nib and feed, whether it's a broad nib, a fine nib, an extra fine nib, a stub nib, a parallel, you know, whether it's a dip pen or whatever it is that we're writing with, that's a major variable. Then you've got your ink. It could be a flowy ink or a dry ink or a permanent ink or, you know, there's all kinds of variables there. And I spent several years studying ink, so I feel comfortable with ink. Even when I encounter a brand new one, I can sum it up, I can kind of get its number really quickly, but it isn't quite as easy for me with paper. So paper is the third major area that we have to consider, because right away when you come in the hobby and start writing, you will find out that your run-of-the-mill paper that we can buy here in the United States just on the shelf is usually not very good. And even that generalization is not good, because there certainly are papers in Walmart and in our various drugstores and stationery stores that will work with fountain pens, but it's not, you don't just walk in, grab anything, because you may be very, very disappointed and find out that it bleeds through or it feathers like a chicken, as pen friend Marilyn would say, or, you know, paper's a big consideration, and it happens that it hits us pretty quickly. My very, very first encounter with fountain pen paper, like appropriate paper, was a pen pal letter that I received from another YouTuber who's real big and will remain anonymous, but I got to see not only the paper that he wrote that first pen pal letter that I ever received on, but at the bottom he would write, you know, the pen and nib and ink and everything that he was using, and then he wrote down what kind of paper it was, or I wouldn't have known, and then included a couple of extra little papers of different types of paper, and I remember one was Fabriano, and I messed around with that one, but the letter was written on Tomoe River paper. And right away I thought, ooh, this is nice. Like you can write a lot, you could stuff an envelope going overseas with Tomoe River paper, and it'd be lightweight still. And I kind of liked how the ink looked on it. So that was my first kind of real introduction to good paper, and to a few papers that I hadn't really used up to that point. At the time that I started and I got that pen pal letter, I actually won a contest, you know, that was happening, and got some fountain pens from this person. I was using moleskin for my bullet journal, so I wasn't having very good luck with fountain pens, and I was still using plenty of felt tips and other types of markers like Flair, I think, or, you know, I don't know what those, I don't even use those anymore. I used to, but I like the darker inks, and those mostly aren't, so, well, they have the black, but anyway, I was not having really great luck with paper when I first came into the hobby, and I didn't like having to go thinner nib-wise to get something that wouldn't bleed through or feather like a chicken. So I started, you know, questing after paper, and ended up kind of settling on some that I really liked. And the first thing that happened, well, I'm probably going to go in several different directions here, and please bear with me. Hopefully I can get this together. But the first thing I discovered was that I liked the Leuchtuurm a lot better. The Leuchtuurm paper was lots more fountain pen friendly, so my bullet journaling after that, only one initial bullet journal in moleskin, which I really liked that journal because it was a flexible, kind of almost an A5 size, flexible cover, and I liked it. It was lightweight and everything, but I quickly got used to the Leuchtuurm with the regular paper, They now have the thicker paper, and that's where I've landed. But so that was one of my first experiences was, oh, they're not all created equally, and you know, maybe I need to upgrade my paper a little bit. But we'll deviate from history for a minute just to let you know there's 4 main things that I use paper for with fountain pens. One is the bullet journaling. The other one is my ink journaling, which we'll look at that. You've probably seen my ink journal a lot if you've been on the channel. I'm in my 3rd one of the same type, so I really love it, the paper that I've landed on. So that's, you know, bullet journaling, ink journaling. Then journals, I tend to keep a long form journal, and my journals are all different books because I experiment with that. I don't use the exact same book, you know, month, or I'll probably be in a book for 3 to 6 months, depending on how thick it is and how much I'm writing. So I've got journals, and I've got what I call a process journal, but that falls under journals, which is generally my CVS caliber notebooks, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. And then oh, actually, I lied. There's not 4 areas. There's 5. My planner, which may not be much longer. I think I'm going to roll everything back into my bullet journal. I've been thinking about that. I believe what I'm going to do, I'm in a planner that's like this. It's the Hobonichi. Good thing they print the name on it, right? Weeks. This is the one from last year because the other one is busy right now. It's all open and stuffed in it. So I think I'm going to not use these anymore for planning. I'm going to go back to the little dollar store flimsy ones that are extremely thin, and they go right into whatever bag or little sling I'm carrying. But anyway, that's another deviation from what I'm talking about. And then the 5th category of paper that I use is for letter writing, which is actually last, but should be first because I do more letter writing. Well, journaling and letter writing are about equal, I guess. So, you know, paper, just blank paper. And A5 seems to be my favorite size of just about everything, although there's a few exceptions and lots of fun things. So what I want this video to be, I want it to be kind of a baseline of where I'm at right now, April 1st, 2024. And I have a lot of paper to explore this year. I may not get around to all of it in this year, but I'd like to have this to look back on and to remember, you know, what were my favorites right now at this time, and does anything. It's kind of like listing your 5 favorite pens, and then the next year when you sit down to think about it, something may have come along. Like Benu pens might have come into my life and knocked something else a little bit down on the ranking. And so I'm thinking that this would be nice. I didn't title it 5 favorite anything because it just isn't that simple. Paper's not simple to me. I wish it was, and I think it could be. And I think that I'll find paper peace someday, I'm sure. In fact, I have found it, and I think that's where we'll go now. We'll go into what I'm actually using right now this year, and so obviously I'm really happy with what I'm using right now. So we'll start with the last category, and that will be with letter writing. So I'm still very, very partial to 52 GSM Tomoe River paper, and I don't seem to care. This is white, but I don't seem to care whether it's white or cream. I like both, and I just can't, you know, get enough of it. I'm using it all the time, and I use like a little lined paper underneath as a guide so I can write my letters. And then right now, the proof is in how much of this I've used. I also have been really happy with a writing pad called Yamamoto Bank Paper. It's right here, just in case. And this was sent to me by a generous viewer, as were many of these things that I'm going to show you today. I can't even, you know, divide it all out. There's probably 8 different people who have contributed paper, and more if you count folded sample paper in letters. So I have just been in such an amazing and unique position to try out many papers. And so the guilt or the feeling of, I don't know, like being challenged with paper seems so silly to me, because I ought to be able to, make confident decisions about paper. But I think the position I'm in now is I'm using what I have, and it's wonderful, and I'm making all these discoveries. So it's sort of, nothing ever seems to disrupt the 52 GSM Tomoe River paper. But as the supply goes down of what I have, and whatever I may be able to find later on, that may disrupt it. So it's really nice. And toward the end of the video, I'll show you some of the paper that I'll be trying from viewers who have sent paper. And I'm going through these really fast. So this is not going to, what's left here is not going to go for April. I'm going to be, choosing another pad to try. So that's where I'm at right now with the letter writing. And definitely Tomoe River 52 is what I reach for automatically, I used to reach for the CVS caliber paper. It's the filler paper, notebook paper. And I still do it with one pen pal that really likes that, that we write back and forth to each other on that paper. So that's cool. And I still use it. And I like it, but it's a little more fussy about which nibs are flowing well enough on that paper. So again, even with my favorite paper for messy journaling and sort of processing different things, or even note-taking, it doesn't work the same way for letter writing. So then I mentioned that this is also 52 GSM Tomoe River paper in these little, let's see if I can find a colorful one. I don't know. I wasn't all that creative last year. I was just busy, I guess. But well, there's one I had high hopes, but I didn't fill it in. So I love this paper, but I kind of like it best for just like trying out inks. And for writing on for a planner, it doesn't dry fast enough for me, and I'm a little fussy. And I'm really, it's too expensive or too good of a paper for planning for me. But I'm still going to finish the one I have this year. And so that's cool. Now, for my bullet journal, I think I've found my forever home with the official bullet journal. And it is the 120 GSM paper. So it's really, really nice and thick. It'll take my broad nibs, and it has the dot grid. And so, like, well, that's March. I guess, well, March was pretty. Anyway, I do the bullet journaling. I don't do a weekly in it, but that's about to change. I'm going to experiment with that to see, can I get my weekly kind of calendar back into my bullet journal? I'd like to, because I get a little bit overwhelmed with too many books. And it would be easier just to have my bullet journal, my ink journal, and then my long form journal. So let's see, April. Well, April is looking pretty sad there. It's just, a bunch of little appointments just started. Today's the 1st. So I love this. And my next one's going to be green. This one's the black one. I've already got it up there, and yeah, I got that with some Christmas money or something, knowing that I wasn't going to be spending money this year. So I'm all set. And I love this. It's a forever type bullet journal for me. And then this is the ink journal, and you've seen a lot of it, so I probably don't need to open it, but just in case you're new, it might be your first video. So I come in every month and put what I've inked up, and then I do a report card on the other side. Let's see, I got one finished. I do a lot of, work in here and seeing how the inks do, and then I also grade at the end of the month just to see, kind of give myself an idea of how that combination worked. And so this is the last one for now, because it's old stock, and this was sent by Pen Friend PL, I think. Whenever I do have that information right in front of me, I can say, but just wonderful. I love it, and I think I will look after whatever I can find with, this is 68 GSM. It's heavier than what I write letters on, and it works out really good for being able to use both sides. So that's fantastic. Now, as we move into the rest of these, it's going to be a little bit different. Let's see. Okay, well, the other type that is tried and true for me is ink journaling in the the Lockbee ones that are 68 GSM Tomoe River. So whenever I have a month where I try out inks, like the Diamine Ink Vent and other times, here lately, I've had too much on my plate to do 30 inks, 30 days. But I like to do them in here, and these are great. They're fantastic. So that's just the same paper, though, so it doesn't surprise me very much. So now, let me make sure. Okay, we did the bullet journal, planner, and the letter stationery, and the ink journal. So now it's journals, and that's where it gets a little bit more complicated. So I have a larger one of the CVS caliber. This is a medium size that I'm using right now, and it's gotten feet and walked, I think. It's not that I can't find it, but it's pretty busy around here right now. So this one was one I filled with book notes, and I love it. I love using these for book notes. It does require kind of a nice flowy ink to get it going, and I like to make boxes around things, and let's see, this was Hungry Ghosts by Gabor Mate. All kinds of, little things, and I come back in and I look through these notes again, and so this paper is tough. It's tough as nails. You can splat on it, you can write on it. I have a video about that, so I won't I won't go over and over it, but I always have at least one CVS caliber notebook going. And I consider it's like a comfortable notebook for me. If I make mistakes, or if it's messy and blotchy or whatever, it doesn't matter. Which, that's when you don't do that kind of stuff mostly, other than like this one. Wow, this one was really, really quite something. It was pretty. Probably need to, Diamine Claret. That was the base color there that came out. So anyway, that's a definite. And then when it comes to my long form journaling, I use whatever I have, but I see some patterns. I definitely see some patterns, so I pulled two old ones to show you. But my current one is the, gosh, I bet I lost that. There's another name for it too, but it's the Graphilo, and it's gorgeous. It lies flat like a dream. Just anywhere you open it, it lies flat so well. It's a little smaller than an A5, but it's super. It kind of reminds me of that moleskin type cover where it's flexible a little bit, but this is not moleskin paper. It is such good paper, I'm afraid I'm going to get spoiled. This was sent by pen friend MS, and I'm enjoying it so much. I'm not super casual with it because I feel like it's like it's almost too good for my writing, but I'm thinking, don't think that way, Chris. Don't think that way. And everything that I've tried in the back, everything, anything I'm inked up with, it doesn't bleed through. It doesn't feather. It's fantastic. It's just wonderful. So, but this is out of my ordinary because it probably wouldn't have been a notebook I ever would have even found. Unless someone I know did a video on it and talked about it, I don't think I would have really thought about it at all. But I'm just really glad I didn't miss out on learning about it. And now I even have some paper. One of my pen friends sent me a little sample, well, it's there somewhere, of the paper, the A5 paper, which I have yet to even look up to see how much they want for that. These are expensive notebooks, but it's jet pens where I can find it, and I'm going to look into that. So when you get right down to what have I written on in the past, what is my kind of, what happens as far as notebooks, there are two that really stood out because I've got a whole line of them up there on my shelf right here in my main desk where my computer is. It's got shelves all around it. It's a built-in kind of, not built-in, but it's a big piece with shelves up around it. And I keep all my journals because I look at them a lot. I look at my bullet journals. Like Manuel and I will say, what did we do for Easter last year? And I usually will remember, but if I don't, I can look it up easily. And he gets a kick out of me knowing, what exactly we did or how it went. And I have them all right there. So there's two, and one is really pretty interesting. I mean, it's a hardcover A5. It is lined paper. Oh, well, there's some journaling about Willie in there, so don't want to get sad. But, gosh, there's a lot of sadness in there. There's my niece's little paper from her funeral. Oh, my goodness. Okay, well, anyway, this has lined paper, and it's kind of a cream color, and it's fountain pen friendly, but it's not completely for every single fountain pen. You do need to do a pen test in the back. You need to kind of check your expectations just a little, but the book is $3, and they still have them. They have them in like black, maroon, blue, different colors at Family Dollar, and it just says made in India on the back. Let's see. I don't know if you can even read that though, but it says right there, made in India. It doesn't really have like a brand. It doesn't have a pocket. Sometimes I make a pocket for the back, but these kind of notebooks that don't cost a lot, or that still have like, okay, you can see that it didn't hold up great. Whoops. Okay, so I don't know if you'll be able to see, but the top has a little bit of a crack, you know. The spine didn't crack, but the cover paper is not perfect. I could tape it, you know, and it didn't, like, how do you say, it didn't separate from the, in here it did better than than the ink journals do, but you could tell that it's not an expensive notebook. But I don't mind that wear and tear, and I could just tape it. I could put either washi or something pretty to just tape it if I wanted to. But that does not happen on my Leuchtuurm notebooks. They get worn. They can get scuffed pretty good. They can even get, occasionally they get stained, but not very often because I take care of them. I usually have them in a cover of some kind, or just generally, I say that, I'll probably dump ink on the next one, but hopefully not. So this is one that I actually repurchased, another one in black, and stuck a really pretty sticker on it because these are so thin they can travel really well. Like, and I'm thinking a notebook like that to travel with that doesn't take quite as much weight. It's nowhere near as heavy as like a Leuchtuurm. It's thinner, and it's, you know, that was my idea, was the next trip that I would take one like this. So but here's the other that I had 3 of these actually, and these are, I don't know, it says The Flight Diary of Love. I remember it was Devon, I think, in her channel. She was talking, she did a review on these notebooks, and I thought, I've got to try that. And I ended up, over a year or so, I ended up having 3 and filling them all up. And today, such a cool thing happened. Here's the, you know, I opened this up and this fell out. I had lost this for so long. I didn't know which journal it was in, and I knew one day I was going to pull all the journals down and find that, because I just love my number template, and I couldn't find it again to purchase. I couldn't find it in the house, and oh, I'm so happy that I found it. But I have 3 of these, and they came in different colors. So yeah, they're all 3 different, and they're from China, I think, but they have the oh, what do you call that thing? The little envelope in the back, little. Wow, I guess I got to look through these. Look at that, I got stickers, and that's actually a really nice project, is to go through and rescue all the stickers and things that should come out. There's some other stickers. I didn't realize I'd left them in there. Not a bad idea at all to do that and go through each journal and kind of put them back where the stickers go. So that's kind of one of my little things that I do. I end up in journals that are relatively inexpensive, and probably because I write so much too. Okay, so then I'm ahead on that type of thing because I bought this quite a while ago. This is a dotted, I think this is Peter Popper Press. Oh, I don't know. Celestial Dot Matrix notebook. I'm not going to open this one yet. But it's definitely, I'll find out. I'll put it in the, in the description. I've already had one and I really liked the quality of the paper, and it's marked $12.99, but it didn't cost me that. It was on Amazon and it didn't cost that much. And then I've got my green bullet journal that I mentioned. I think that was last year's 2023 color. So I'm pretty loyal, pretty, some people could call it a rut or whatever, but I don't feel that way with my bullet journal or, you know, my process notebooks. And it's kind of cool that I'm happy, and I'm very happy to try all kinds of different A5-ish size regular journals just to do long form writing in. I don't need them to match, and it's kind of a nice variety to try the different ones. So I'm trying to see if the end of the video is here yet. What I wanted to do is kind of run through some of the exciting notebooks and paper things that have been sent. Not all of them, because it would take us all day probably. I mean, there's just so many notebooks, but this is a good sampling. It's like a 9 or 10 inch stack, and those will be notebooks and paper that I'll be drawing from throughout the year. In fact, that's what I wrote down. I have had dozens of generous donations, and I thank everybody. And I want to be better at exploring paper. It's, you know, I might as well just admit, and I think I have here, that I do tend to get in my lane and stay there. I find my lane. But with 5 different roads to be on, you know, the bullet journaling, the ink journal, the regular daily writing journal, planners, maybe, but I probably will eliminate that, and letter stationery, then that's a lot of different roads to be on, and we could take a lot of side roads and see a lot of scenery. So that's what I plan to do. There's no doubt about it, paper's my biggest challenge. And I don't know if it's, I mean, I tend to blame laziness sometimes. That's just sort of a default that I do. But I'm not sure it's that. I think it's just like, let's go, let's write. And I don't really like interruptions in that, where it's like, this just doesn't write on this, you know, this ink and this pen just doesn't write on this paper. So what I found is that I can't say that about CVS Caliber, that most of my combinations write on it, because I would say maybe 70%. Since I like broad nibs and I do like really flowy ink, I do pretty well on this. Some people will not like it. It's not for everybody. I know that. I've heard a lot of feedback about it, so I know that probably if you're into broad nibs and Pilot ink and other kinds of inks that flow and are real saturated, you probably will be happy with it. But as far as my, bullet journal, I'm set. I'm set on that. And, I was thinking about the paper. I'm certainly open to all different types of paper, and I can try it. And I feel like I'm moving slow enough at the desk that if one paper just doesn't work out good with what I'm writing with, I can switch. I can even switch mid-letter, because a lot of my pen pals also love fountain pens, and they'll understand, like, oh, well, that was on, they're all the same size, so they'll still fold into the letter. Which reminds me, I didn't talk about envelopes, which is a whole nother. The only thing I could say about envelopes is that I use what I have, and right now I have some that were given to me that are awesome. They are the size where you just fold the A5 and it fits right in. In other words, and I know there's a size, I'm going to have to look that up. It does say 114 by 162 millimeter and made in Japan. These are Midori. And then these are Life brand, I think it is. So it's that size that I really favor, because the letter just folds right up and goes in there. Really cool. Although I like another size for overseas. Let me see if I can find that. So it's the larger size, let's see, that I kind of like best for overseas. For one particular pen pal, especially because I put everything inside of plastic to make sure it doesn't get wet. And these are, I guess I could do the millimeters, 185 by 132 millimeters. Like I said, I used to have a chart laying around that with the size, like it'll say A6 or whatever, you know, I don't know that anymore, but these were really nice. They were an Amazon purchase. And yeah, so envelopes are a whole nother, I always have the fallback for envelopes of just, you know, the cheaper envelopes, because I'm more thinking about what's going in the letter, and I can decorate, I guess, a regular white envelope pretty easily. So this is kind of where I'm at with paper. I'm not sure anything could ever throw me off the Leuchtuurm bullet journal. Probably wouldn't. And then being so open to different types of regular, everyday journals for long form journal writing, and my CVS caliber paper to fall back on. And you'll be following, probably if you're following this channel, what happens with the ink journal. This'll do for this year. I'm pretty sure I probably would take me all year at least to fill this one up. And hopefully I don't have any accidents with it. I moved the water, I moved the cat's water in case Coco came and did a flying act. So I think for the end, for just kind of for fun, we will look over and I will talk about some of these journals that I have yet to try. There's journals, there's paper, and then there's, well, you'll see. I'll just start. It's no particular order. So I actually have an onion skin journal to try, thanks to pen friend SB. And this is really awesome, but it intimidates me. The paper is so special. The journal is so neat. And I was watching Hemingway Jones show writing his poetry in his, and I was like, I just can't seem to get started with this one, because once I start, if I change my mind, I've already, you know, started. But I don't want to do that. I had this idea, I'm not sure if I'm going to do it or not, but I may, of writing memories. And it would be one side. You know, I can't write on both sides because I've seen how it shadows, you know, goes back through. But I even thought about, I could do some memory writing, and I could tape in photos, like facing, you know, tape them in. I don't know how that would work, but I still think there might be something there to the idea. I mean, I not use original photos, but maybe either photocopies. Mom was one to send me a lot of photocopies of older pictures, but they were really good photocopies. So I could even do some of those and preserve, you know, you could see through to where she wrote on the back. And I think that's pretty neat. You know, it's stuff that she was sending me, the ancestors and things like that. So that's one thing that definitely I want to use, and it deserves to be used. And then here is a Midori A5 pad to write letters on. So this is one. And then I'm going to really screw up if I start saying who sent these, because some of them I do have the initials on the back, and some I have notes on the index cards of the pen pal that sent it. And it gets complicated, and I tend to hang myself up over those kinds of things. This one, so I'm just going to say kind of a really big blanket thank you. And it's over many years, too. Some of this is very current, just within the last few months. But some of these I haven't gotten around to for a while. This is a row full loose A5 paper. I can't wait to try this, because I've actually had letters written to me on it. And that is the best advertisement, I think, really. It is. I thought that was really good paper. And then this is, of course, a paper that I'm used to, but it's a composition size, a thin one of the, well, it's Galen leather, and it's 52 GSM Tomoe River paper, made in Turkey. And I'm excited about this because I had gotten some of the smaller ones. They were gray, they were A5, but oops, that light is really causing trouble. But I'm really excited about that, trying that. And I want to make some small separate tablets, and one of them was going to be on that IFS, the Internal Family Systems notes, and I'm thinking that might be one of the really good ones to try. And then this one is one that I purchased, I think 3 of them or 5 of them from Amazon. It's a Campus Kikuyo. It's kind of a, it's close to composition size, but not quite. In fact, I think I used to know what size it was. B something. Anyway, size B. And it's got really narrow line width. It must be about, well, not narrow, because that's more than 5 millimeter. 6 or 7, I don't know. Probably says on here. 6? I don't know. Because, you know, when it gets around to these that are written in different languages, it's awful hard to tell what they're referring to. But, okay, this next item is so exciting. It's like, I want to start on this. It's a collection of, it's Yamamoto paper. So it's paper, Japanese paper, and it's like 18 different types, samples. So it's like, wow, that is cool. And I think one of the things that slowed me down a little bit was realizing once I write on it, because I don't like to write just to like write scribbles and waste the paper. So there's another little mental thing there. If I write letters on it, I want to have some way of recording what I thought of the paper. And so, or maybe there's more than one piece, and I can kind of, you know, kind of divide that up and use one for observations and, you know, make maybe a notebook. I have a notebook actually with it, like a binder where I could have, you know, retain a little piece, because there are some here I've used. One says View Corona for pocketbook, Tomoe River 52, cream and new chiffon cream, 75 GSM. Cosmo Air Light, that's a paper I love. I actually didn't pull that out, but I've used a whole 100 pack of that before that I purchased, and I loved it. Glassine, halftone color, 99 white. I mean, this is just like a whole world. Bank paper. Champion copy, typewriter paper. Ooh, typewriter paper. I just got a letter written on typewriter paper last week. It was cool. Airmail bond white. So there's a whole bunch of different kinds. And I just need to get myself really organized, but there's no time like the present. So, okay, here's another one. This one is a U-style. I know that this is a very inexpensive, and I think it's either Walmart or Target. So it's a U-style notebook sent by a pen friend, and it's got lined pages. And actually, I could use the notebook, or I could cut it out and write letters. I think actually it's perforated too, but I could actually write letters on this. And the year, you know, we're one quarter down, but this is a no-spend year for me, so it'd be a good idea probably to plan on that. I know it's fountain pen friendly because I have a pen friend that sends me letters on it. And then, oh, this is the other notebook I considered for the IFS notes, because it's Rhodia and it's a booklet size and it's got the lines. When I used to do ink reviewing, I was using tons of Rhodia and Clairefontaine and Tomoe River, of course, and then I would try to get, you know, a pretty good sampling of papers at the end of those reviews. But I'm not really doing that the same now. I'm just using the papers that I'm actually writing with for those. So, but I like this right away. I thought that's a perfect size. And then here is, okay, this is Midori paper, which I have used, and I do enjoy it. And I want to further explore it. This has initials of who sent it. But this is an A5 Midori, and I think I was just looking to see how it was, you know, whether it was, I guess it's lined. You can kind of see that because on the end, you can see the lines. So that's awesome. I do love a lined, actually that works really well as a everyday journal because of the way they lie flat and it's lined, and I can decorate that, you know, so that's really cool. Okay, next up is the one I meant to look into to see. I think it may be a Cosmo Airlight paper, because, yeah, this was from pen friend RL, and it has, like I said, a nice lined grid. I almost used this as my daily notebook, but then I decided to hop into that Graphilo one. Things were so stressful, and I thought, I'm like halfway through this already, and I figured that would happen. And I thought maybe things would calm down too before too long, and that I don't know. Not that, not that I'm going to write bad things, but it's stress processing and that kind of thing. But this is gorgeous, and it almost made me feel like it should be used for ink testing, and I'm just not sure. So that's like a decision paralysis or something. Okay, so next up is a Clairefontaine type notebook that I haven't tried, and I do think that they do vary. This is an A5 with lined. Yeah, this is from Penfriend RL2, and many of these were from Penfriend MS. And yeah, I'm gonna probably bomb out if I start trying to remember who. See, this is lined, and I can't wait to do the pen test in this one. I don't think I did yet. That's usually the first thing I do, so I'm gonna do that and see, because it feels like the paper in the spiral notebooks I got from Goulet pens in the beginning, and those are really good quality. They didn't bleed through, and they were really nice with most of my broad nibs, so we'll see how that goes. In fact, that's one of the first things for me to do, is do some, do some actual pen tests in the back of the ones that I haven't done yet. This would be my first Franklin Christoph one. I think there's two, but this one I haven't opened yet. And it is ruled. I can see the rule on the edge there. And it also says that. And it's that nice size, that A5. So you can tell I don't need notebooks. I'm bringing up this subject to see where I'm at, and to see about following through with moving the needle, trying out some of these newer ones, and not being afraid to use the good things that I have. I mean, I'm confessing here to you guys, so I know that that's going to make me want to, go back and pick some of these new ones and not just stay in my little lane as much. This is gorgeous. Cosmo Note. And I know the paper is really agreeable to me. You have to be a little bit careful with hand oils with this, but it's just a wonderful paper. And I think I just need to get used to using something on the page that I move down, so I don't get any of my hand oils on it. But that's really a nice size too. And then this is, I guess I must have saved best for last or something. This is going to be my first of the Galen Leather notebooks. It is a like a leather cover. It's gorgeous. Let's see if I can pull it out real quick. Yeah, I've never had one of these before, and it's got that. I think it's a Crazy Horse brown. It's gorgeous. Another notebook that sort of intimidates me though, because it's so beautiful and it's so special. It does have blank pages, which makes it so versatile for anything, and it comes with a whole bunch of different line pages, so that's going to be good. Yeah, even the big boxes and everything. So that shows you that I am well outfitted with paper completely. Like, I don't want to say lifetime supply because I don't want to croak, but I'm not ready yet. But definitely, it's not about looking for paper. It's about using the paper that I have. And so I'm excited about this, because I think that I'm going to want to look back at this video. I'm going to probably want to do some timestamps on it so that I can see what were my favorite, what was I using, and what did I already, what hadn't I tried when we get to later in this year when I check in with you again. So I'd love to hear from you about what some of your favorite papers are, and is paper as big a deal for you as it is for me? Does it seem like you have trouble? Or maybe you use fine nibs, and maybe that's a little easier. Maybe there's a little bit more forgiveness in paper. I don't know. Or maybe it's more of a challenge. Like, if you, I don't know, but if you're using like Clairefontaine and Rhodia, is it friendly with your fine nibs? I don't know for sure, because I've kind of steered away from that. I don't do as many tests with different nib sizes. I'm all about the broad nibs, the stub nibs, and then I love a good gushy medium nib too. And even the Pelican has a fine nib, but it writes like a really nice flowy medium nib. So, but paper is a big deal to me. And so I've wanted to do this video for a long time, but today everybody's out of the house except for the cats. They're all taking their nap right now. And I did have that one phone call, but it was a chance to get all these stacks and stuff and not have to ask Manuel to turn off the TV or turn it down or whatever. So hopefully this will give us a good starting point. And I like to talk about what notebook I'm in all the time anyway, so now you can see what the nice generous stack that I have to work off of. And there are more. Many of those come in the category of, well, some single paper, folded paper that's, labeled with what it is. And I was thinking I had some here like that. But, oh, I don't want to get digging around in there because there's addresses. But I've got that kind of thing, and I've got some more composition notebooks that, I can use and try out in time. And in fact, anytime I want, I can do the pen tests. And I often do those long before I start using the notebook because it gives me an idea. Is this going to be something I can go with everything in, or is it going to be something that I'm going to want to know ahead of time I'm going to use medium and lower, or, maybe certain types of ink. So exciting, very exciting. And a huge thank you to everyone who's ever introduced me to a new paper or a paper. It's amazing. I don't think I would know about some of this stuff at all if it hadn't been for pen pals and different, exposures that I've gotten here through the pen pal writing and in the comment section here that I've learned about things. And of course, I've just talked about CVS caliber paper, just talked your ear off about that. So I need to remember to link that. But I see that the video is quite long, and I think this sufficiently shows a huge, array of information about where I'm at right now and the path I'm headed on to try different things. So I hope you're having a good day wherever you are and whenever it is, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.